Wọ́n ta pẹ̀lẹ́ lọ host.
Good evening, everyone out there. How's your day been? And I hope you're good. How's work today? My name is Oladune Akinsoba, and this is EBO Media. This is the time called You and Your Luminary. Today is going to take another new form. I'm sure you have been seated, relaxed, and don't forget to always take your cup of water to reduce that stress and to deal with that stress. Today I'm not here alone, I'm here with someone, and we're going to be talking about a topic that says charity begins at home. What do you understand by that? We're going to talk back after the break, and I will introduce my guest also. Yeah, like I said earlier, I know you have been curious and be anxious of who's my guest. Is a lover of God, is a visionary, is a visioneer, yeah, and is someone who understands what is called education. Yes, someone who understands what it takes us to build up a society, someone who understands what the future means, someone who has been helping and who has the interest of people at heart, by helping people nurture and give good morals to children out there, and helping people selflessly. I can say that. And is no other person. Please, good evening. Can you introduce yourself?
Good evening, Ma.
You are not going to say good evening to me. You are going to say good evening to the world. So I'm not the only one.
All right. Thank you very much. Good evening to everyone watching us right now. My name is Oluwafemi Oloyede.
Okay. So, like you all heard, is Oluwafemi Oloyede, and I'm sure some of you might have known him or come across him, but I want you to understand, I just want you to sit and listen to what we have for you today. It's an interesting topic. Though it's going to hurt a bit, it's just a sweet and bitter experience, you understand, but after the break, we'll come back. Yeah, what do you understand by charity? The charity we're talking about today is not about Ashakan. It's not about going to the streets and giving out money. It's not about giving food or material things to people, but it's something that's worth beyond that. And something that we even lead you, that is even, we give you that access to give beyond material things at the end of the day, that will make you to have an abundance. And what we're talking about, when we say hear the word charity begins at home, what comes to your mind? And like what I have, a charity begins at home is a person's first responsibility. Is for the need of the immediate family. Yes, what we mean by responsibility for the immediate family, it's not about food, clothing, and shelter alone. Sometimes it's beyond that, and that is why sometimes when we make mistakes out there, people try to say charity begins at home. They make use of that statement, and why do they make use of it? Because everything you do starts from the home. That's the smallest unit of organization. It's the smallest unit of organization one can have. And when we talk about charity begins at home, it is our responsibility to take care of our immediate family, to tackle the issue before going out there and preaching to others, letting people know this is my idea. Why not start from your own today? That is what charity begins at home is all about. And before I ask my guest, and before we get into the deep, I want you to understand that charity begins at home. Sometimes some people go out of miles to break that rules. I understand that, but what have we done as a parent out there to contribute your own quarter to this saying that charity begins at home? Can you boldly say that I've tackled my home before coming out there? And even in the society where we are today, we try to correct everything that Nigeria and the government and every other person will try to lay blames on people out there, the governments, organizations, institutions, and all that. What have you done from your home to correct issues in our society? Yeah, and then my guest, welcome once again, and this is EBO Media, and we're talking about charity begins at home. When you hear that word charity begins at home, what comes to your mind? Let me start from there.
Thank you very much, ma'am. You see, for you to be a complete person,
okay,
it's not only your beauty.
Yes.
There are some things you ought to possess.
Okay.
That you give out to the public.
Okay.
So if you are talking about charity begins at home, okay, that means there are some kind of human attributes, okay, that you ought to learn, okay, from home, okay, that you will reproduce to the public.
Okay. All right. So is that all you have to say for now? Okay. My guest said that you have so many things out there as human attributes to portray, and if I may ask you, what are these attributes you're referring to now?
Thank you. Part of these attributes, number one is respect.
Okay.
Respect. Respect is a kind of attribute that you learn from home.
Okay.
You know, the way you behave to your parents, or the way your parents train you, we teach you, or we tell if truly you are demonstrating respect.
Okay.
Now, let's take for example, it's just that the world is turning upside down now.
All right.
You know, I said when I introduced this topic, when you asked me what I understand by charity,
yes,
I said this is not only about your beauty,
yes,
but some kind of attribute that you ought to possess, yes, that will present you to be acceptable by the public.
Okay.
But nowadays it's just a pity, or let me say it's becoming so worrisome, okay, that parents neglect these aspects.
Okay.
You know, I mentioned respect to be one,
okay,
of these attributes, okay, that you ought to possess from home.
Okay.
But nowadays we see most of our children, you know, demonstrating lack of respect.
Okay.
Lack of respect.
All right. So if I'm getting you right now, you are trying to say that as a parent, let's not limit it to the parents, to the home now, whereby we have the parents and the children. What can you say about parents going outside there, especially to maybe to institutions, and complaining about their child or their word actions, or maybe their ill manners, their bad behaviors to teachers, for them telling them to help him or her to discipline that child? Why do you think is right, or do you think it's just a way to create phobia, or is a sign of respect, or just trying to show morals?
I said it. The world is no longer the way it ought to be, okay, in time past. The issue of parents, you know, budging into schools, academic environment, yes, you know, to embarrass teachers, okay, to do this, and the issue of the aspect of students getting them to report their teacher. Unlike before, even if you are being tortured or disciplined in school, you know, you dare not get home and, you know, relate it to your parents.
Okay.
Even if you get home and relate such issue to your parents, in fact, they will even, if the father and the mother, they will unanimously, you know, talk to that, okay, child in particular.
All right.
They will find a means of, you know, allowing, yes, they will make sure they let him or her see the reason why he was punished in school. Okay. Though they were not there, but, you know, they will create a kind of scenario. These are things that happen in time past. Yes. They will even paint that scenario that you even be, you know, you even blame yourself of reporting your teacher at home. But nowadays, you know, it is the lackadaisical attitude of these parents that makes these children to be a kind of free, you know, to even talk anyhow. They get home, they are so free to relate anything to their parent, because they know that their parent is so flexible.
All right.
Even before a child finish, you know, reporting a situation to the parent would have even fired up, okay, and would have even multiplied and would have risen beyond what the child is talking about.
Okay. So if I'm trying to get you now, are you now saying that parents shouldn't listen to their children or their world?
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Right.
I am not saying they shouldn't listen. There should be a kind of communication between a child and the parents.
Okay.
But if you are looking at it in the other way around,
all right,
especially, let me not bring it down to the academic setting, not even academic setting alone.
Yeah.
Your child came home to report an incident to you that, okay, someone talked to me or abused me. Now, the first thing you need to know is no one can behave like a madman.
Yeah.
Especially when a child gets home and report a teacher. I was flogged in school today. Okay. Now, you should know that before a teacher can raise up Cain to flog any student, definitely there should be an a particle of an offense committed by such a child. Right. Though the extent at which the teacher discipline might be a little bit harsh,
yes,
but you should first know that there is a reason for that action.
All right.
So that reason for that action should be your own major concern. That, okay, this is my child, though this teacher flogged my child for a particular reason. Let me see how I can correct this action in my own child so that such will never repeat itself again. But it's just a pity today. Our parents will never even look at that aspect. What has this child done that warrant flogging? Okay. The next thing is just say them, they fired.
All right, let's leave the aspect of flogging, because I think nowadays I think we are in an era called the ABC era, that people tend to advocate and preach and protest against flogging in schools. But what can you say about parents coming to school, shouting, screaming, and throwing abusive words, saying they've paid the school fees and done all that, but yes, because they bought the textbooks and every necessary materials, that the child still failed? That's what's happening. What's it looks to school? What are they up to? What are they doing? What I'm trying to say is that the school should be the one to help the child to read and also to help the child to pass the exam. What do you think to that? What can you say to that?
You see, children these days,
yes,
let me say they are smart.
Oh, yeah.
And they read action a lot.
Yes.
And they test their parents a lot. By the time you want to behave as a parent who pamper or care so much for them, then they see your weakness.
Yeah.
So parents are so weak, and this is the avenue in which these children are taking the part.
Yes.
So when you have your child coming home to report an incident to you,
yes,
they are, in fact, we saying that the world is turning upside down now, we still have some home that even if something happened in school, you dare not get home to talk. Because not as if you know that your parents are wicked, but I said students or children always test their parents. They know that what they did in school was so bad, but just because of the vulnerability of their parents, yes, many of them will be able to, they will get home and they will relate the issue to their parents, because they know that whatever they relate at home, their parents will take it up. And they don't just do that alone. They would have been studying these parents, the way they relate in the society or in their street, or on their street rather. So they would have studied them, and they would have known the kind of parents they have. That if I bring anything before my parents, I know they will listen to me, either I'm saying the truth or not. Do you even know that we have some parents that can defend their children, if they are telling lie, they will defend them to the point. Okay. So the vulnerability of these parents to accommodate lie and accommodate truth is the major area in which these students or these children are using.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And like we said, this is your Luminary, and this is EBO Media. Should you are just joining us. And we'll be talking about charity begins at home. And on the topic, some parents they try to make their child feel so comfortable that they listen to everything they have to say, to the extent that they nurse ill feelings towards their teachers and towards the society out there. And even sometimes, I don't want us to limit it to just to the school alone, but I think that's the major place where it all starts from. That even some society, when you get to some society today, maybe they find themselves in maybe the teaching practice, CWS and everywhere else, organizations outside there. Some children try to go back home to report maybe the boss or someone, the director, saying maybe the person is trying to threaten him or is not accommodating just because they are not doing the right thing. So what we are trying to say here this evening is that we should train our child from home, and everything begins from the home. If you don't want anyone to correct your child, then put him through the protocols, the rules and principles of how to behave, an act of gracious living that will exempt him, that will make him to be free from blames and complaints. And there's another thing that is very common in society. We tend to blame everything on the government. Do you think that is right? Do you think we don't have our own quota to share from everything happening in the society today?
Thank you very much. We can't blame the government.
Okay.
You know, they say that charity begins at home.
Yeah.
It's at home.
Mm-hmm.
Not even with the government at all.
Yeah.
You see, I would like to say this also.
Okay.
If you fail to instill some kind of morals or good behavior training for your child or children at home, by the time they are exposed to that kind of atmosphere that demands such from them,
okay,
they will see it as punishment.
Okay.
Are you getting me?
Yes.
Some parents are so accommodating that they accommodate nonsense.
Yes.
Now when these children or child leaves home and they are out now to the public in an atmosphere where such attribute and attitude is expected, and they are now being corrected for not demonstrating it, to them they will feel hurt because they were not trained in that manner.
Yeah.
Are you getting it?
Yes.
Let me cite an example. In those days back then, you as a student, if you meet your teacher or an elderly person on the way carrying load,
yes,
automatically you do what? You
Yeah.
assist. But nowadays, in fact, many of them will even walk by. Even some can decide to greet and some can just decide to just shun you and go away.
yes,
To them, they never see it as anything so bad.
okay,
Are you getting it?
Yes.
But to you, as an elder, you see that as a very bad attitude and you will want to try and correct. So in the process of correcting, this child will feel bad and he or she may get home and report such incidents.
yeah,
Now you as a parent also, you will not want to see it in such a way that your child has committed an error.
okay,
So you want to try and defend your child.
Sure.
So I want to say that everything that is happening, we cannot blame it on the government. The government has no hand in this.
okay.
The government has no hand in it at all.
All right. So thank you very much. Let's just quickly go on a short break. Yeah, good evening everyone out there. This is EBO Media and it's a time with your luminary, and we're talking about the topic that says charity begins at home. If you're just joining us, you can reach us, and should in case you want to follow us, you can follow us on all our social media handles, on Facebook, EBO Media, on TikTok, EBO.media, on Instagram as EBO.media, and on Instagram at EBO.media, on YouTube as EBO_media_22. We are located at Fesor Jai Avenue, opposite Glorified National Primary School, Ilaluji in Ondo State, and you can reach us on our phone number for your adverts and bookings 070-533-02878, and we'll be glad to welcome you. We're waiting for you. Keep liking, keep sharing, and keep commenting. Yeah, welcome back from the short break, and my guest, and like we were saying, that means charity, everything should start from the home, and not, we shouldn't shift the blame on the government alone. So something, we must start our behavior, everything around us must start from the home. I want to ask this, I don't know, maybe can you shed more light on this topic, whereby parents and their children tends to have this interest conflict. They have conflicts of interest. You understand?
Okay.
Whereby the parent, for example, is not able, doesn't have the ability, the capability, everything to meet the demands of the children sometimes.
Okay.
But just because the children, they've gotten the soft spot, like you said, the weakness of the parents, and they don't care any longer. And an example, I'd like to give you an example for a case whereby this is Iloluji. We have the Polytechnic Iloluji area, and as a parent, you know your ability, you know your source of income, and if your child is still within this area, you can still afford it conveniently without not begging, without not asking. But just because a child or the world is claiming that it's going to go outside this town to read, to further his or her studies, and you wanted to grant that wish, you went ahead and lent money, and you are stopped already. You don't know the way forward. At the end of the day, you have PPE and all that. Don't you think when it comes to choice, sometimes if you have been incorporated or you have instilled that discipline, like, okay, this is, I know you, I love you, I know this is what you want, but there's a way we can do it, and we come to an agreement. What can you say about that?
There should be a clear difference between parents and a child.
Okay.
But if this gap is not clearly defined, there will be problem.
Okay.
I don't know how a parent can allow a child to dictate.
Okay.
You are far older than them as a parent. You've seen a lot. You've had experience.
Okay.
So you should be able to find a means of capturing them. You capture their heart.
Yes.
You put them in the right way, that they
heart.
will listen to you. So, but in a situation where you have your child being the one ruling over you, then there is a problem, a very big problem.
Okay.
In fact, this issue is a very big one.
Yes.
Yes, a very big one.
All right. Okay. Let me quickly. Sorry to cut you short, but do you think is a way of just brainwashing them, or do you think it's an act of love, telling them to stay in your environment and further their studies, just because you know you don't have more than that, you don't have the ability to send them out of the state or your community?
It's never a brainwash. You telling them to stay in a particular place just because you are considering your pockets.
Right.
You are not brainwashing them.
Okay.
You are only teaching them contentment.
Okay.
If you don't teach them all these things, in fact, we have some children that they will even pity their parents.
All right.
You get? They pity them, but by the time you don't train them to be contented with whatever, not as if you are limiting them, but they should be able to know that my parents which I could do this, but they are not financially capable to do that. They will understand. But by the time you give them a free hand, in fact, they will give you problem. They will be demanding what you don't have, and this has led to a serious problem in the society.
Yeah, thank you very much. Like our guest said, I want everyone out there to understand that it is you that have the financing over your child, and the way you have brought them, that is where charity begins at some comes. It starts from when they are very young. Don't wait till they are old and you start telling them this is what I don't want. Let them know even as from birth. Start telling them according to their ability, to that growth stage. Don't wait till when they are old and you can't control them again, and it's not something that they will see it as you're just punishing them. Why are you just telling them this? Why are you just changing? And before you know it, they start giving it a term, psychological depression and all that. My parents don't love me and all that. I want you to know as a parent, when you're outside there, when you know you have, this is what you can afford, let them know. For an example, I used to tell people, had it been in sciences, I would have gone to Iloluji, like maybe I would have done like 3 courses, because it's within my community, and this is the time for you. When you still have access to it, you don't have to lobby such, you don't have to fight with your blood, with your strength for the admission, but it's still something you can still get when you have your papers and every other thing. compared to other universities out there, tertiary institutions out there. But people now tend to like just because I've studied, I've done everything within LUG, and you know your parents cannot afford it. Even you as a parent, you know you cannot afford it. Why are you giving these children the opportunity to dictate for you? There's nothing bad if you have done all your schooling within your community. What if you're outside the country, states, and you have done everything within the United States of America? Will you say that? So I think it is not time. This is what we call ignorance. It doesn't stop you from being who you are. I'm not saying you have the ability, you cannot go outside the town, the community, the state. It's fine. But when you know this is what you can afford, some of us, and at the end of the day, you start begging, you start calling everyone, and this is that, for funds that you can't even afford. How many times, for how long are you going to keep on doing this? So let us stick to what we have in our environment and make use of it. And that is where charity begins at home. Train your child the way you want it. It's not until when they get outside there, or when it is not very difficult before you can do it. Sorry, take care, sir. So I want you to understand that fact, and please let's try to mind the way we give our access to our children. And I pray that everything we have been doing, the Lord will help us to do it in Jesus' name. So today I want you to understand the fact that we have a guest here, and it is called let us quickly go on a break. Alright, welcome back from the break, and this is EBO Media, and it's your time with your luminary. We have a guest here, Mr. Oluwafemi. We're talking about charity begins at home, and with all what we have said, and before we roll up the program for today, and I just want you to just summarize everything we have said once more. So,
all right, thank you very much. Before I do the summary, let me try to cite this example.
Okay.
You said a statement that parents will now start, they want to start correcting a particular attitude when it is so late. You see, that is very correct.
Yes.
Many parents, you see them coming to an academic setting, this my child talks too much, do this, like that, interfere, it doesn't allow me to even talk at all if I'm talking to him at home.
Okay.
This starts from when the child was so young.
Okay.
How do you stay parents? You know, we begin with charity, that is the attribute you have to instill in them that they will present to the public.
Okay.
I wonder how a parent will allow a child to sit down with him or her in the sitting room when you have visitor.
Okay.
You have a friend that came to visit you. You were both discussing at the living room, and you now have your child there trying to interfere in your discussion, and you entertain such.
All right.
And you know, this kind of, you keep entertaining it day in day out, it will get to a state that this child will believe that this is the normal way of life. Even if the third child have an elderly one talking in the public, he or she will want to do what? We want to interfere.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Aloyede, for that contribution. Like you said today, that our attitude should be acceptable. Our character should be acceptable to the society. Despite the fact that we said charity should begin at home, I want you to know that today, charity doesn't stop at the home alone. It still go outside there. So the fact that you have seen something that is not done the proper way, and you see people doing it outside, you still need to correct. And please let us know that we all have our own quota and responsibility to carry out there, so that we make the world a better place and an acceptable place for us. So thank you everyone, and you can reach us on this same station for another edition of your Luminary by this time next week. Thank you and bye for now.